What's going on, good people? Rich here, school in the building.
What's happening?
Back at you again with another episode of the Culture Garden podcast,
Yes.
but a little bit of a twist on it today.
Uh-oh.
We're actually starting a little mini series, and today is the first episode of it. It's going to be a 6-episode mini series. Eventually, we're probably going to make a feed for this because we're doing a show on Martin at school. You can tell. We'll talk more about it here in a second, but eventually we're going to do more episodes and we're going to talk about the concept and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
So we're excited to be here with you. And if you are a fan of Martin, like, trust me, like, you are going to enjoy the next 6 weeks. We're going to have an episode dropping every single Thursday, pretty much breaking down what is the best episode of Martin.
Yeah.
So the concept, probably thinking how we got into this. So School and myself, if you've been an OG listener, shout out to everybody out there listening, man. We rock with y'all. Like, been starting to meet y'all, talk to some of y'all. Like, it's been real cool. So shout out to Nate. You know, I met Nate and all that. So told him I'd give him a shout out on here. But
what's up, Nate?
Yeah, straight up. Shout out D Hall because he introduced it. So me and School, when we started making this pie, like way back when, we were just like, at some point we want to talk about Martin, but we just didn't know what to do. Like, how do you do that? The show just, it means a lot, but it's also goofy. It's silly. Like, how do we talk about this in the proper way? And there's a podcast I want to give a shout out called Dissect. Anybody who rock with music, you might have heard of this IG page, this podcast. What they do is they break down music, break down lyrics. Mostly I've seen hip hop, and they started a concept of trying to figure out an artist's best song. And it was just interesting, just an interesting concept. I'm like, dang, like, what if we tried that for music? So lists aren't a new thing. Top 10, top 5s aren't a new thing. I want to make sure I give them they just do, because that sparked this idea. So shout out to them for that. And I'm like, let's just see what we can do with television and see if we can do something similar. So like I said, we're going to start with Martin. School and myself, that's our favorite sitcom
all time.
If you know us, you know we're like synonymous with Martin. Like, there's certain things that I feel like everybody's known for.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you think of a person, the first thing you think of, you know, oh, he's a, you know, Bengals fan, or he loves The Wire, he loves Carolina basketball. I know a lot of people think that about me, but Martin, that's easily on the list. One of the best sitcoms of all time.
Yes.
First and foremost, why do you think Martin still means so much 30 years after its release? Or debut, I guess I should say.
It's a hell of a question.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, and I don't know. This show is so unique.
Mm-hmm.
Martin in his prime, you could put him up there with whoever. Like, in season 2 of this show, I'm putting this against whatever sitcom in history.
Easily.
Ever. It has that Friday syndrome. Like, I can watch this shit 38,000 times, know that this joke is what it's going to be, and laugh like I've never seen it.
Yeah.
That's insane to me. Like, and I don't know what it is.
Everybody has something like that.
Yes.
It's just that Martin is universal, because everybody who loves Martin feels that exact same way. We know the punchlines, we know what's coming. Like you said, it's like Friday. You know when it's going to happen, but you still laugh like it's your first time seeing it. Mm-hmm. And it is hard to put that in words. You know, I really started thinking about the history of Martin, and because we're in a unique spot where we were super young. We weren't watching Martin in real time. I remember bits of season 5. Like, I can honestly sit here and say, I remember like the boat episode. Yeah. Like Overboard, whatever it is. But,
and you know what, when you say that, and looking back on it, like when you say like you remember certain episodes, that makes me think, like, did we catch it when it was going in reruns?
And syndication?
Yeah,
because it went into syndication in 1995.
Yeah, so
the show was airing at the time.
Yeah,
so you're right. It might not have been live. It might have been something. It's one of those memories that I could have been whatever age. But I remember being young and seeing it. But I can't tell you when I caught them. As long as I can remember, I've been a fan of Martin. Yeah. And it just always, it was always there's nothing on, turn on Martin.
Now, I do want to pay some credit, because I remember what really got me going again on Martin. Yeah. It was Illfield. Shout out to Illfield.
I wanted to shout out Illfield.
Yeah. Shout out to Illfield.
Police. Like, I know you listening. Yeah. Like, I know you watching. Like, shout out to you.
Yeah. She had a random VHS cassette. Wow. I'm old.
I remember this.
You remember that?
I remember this.
Yeah.
I remember this because nobody.
Yes.
All right, I don't mean to cut you off, but it was one important thing about Martin is it was in the 90s. It was 92 to 97. So once it went off the air, if you didn't catch it on syndication, you weren't watching it.
Nope.
There was no streaming. There was nothing like that you can go out and see. I remember being in college and the DVD came out. Like that was one of the biggest days of my life.
Yes.
Like when I heard season 1 of Martin was coming out on the DVD, it was in 2007. Like I'll never forget it.
It was insane.
Like it changed everything. Like I have episodes to watch Martin and what's really interesting in preparing for this is it's hard to spot. I think growing up like that, watching random episodes, it was hard to spot like, oh, that's a season 1. Like, season 2, season 3. Like it's hard to spot where they were because they all kind of go together because nobody really has purposely, I won't say purposely, but 9 times out of 10, when you watch Martin, it's never in sequence. It's just whatever's on the screen at the time.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, you've seen all the episodes and you've seen them so many times that you don't need to see them in sequence. But when you sit down and watch them in sequence, like I'm literally watching every episode in a row, it's funny to see like the growth and the changes in it and when Martin became the Martin we know and love. So we can't wait to sit here and break that down with y'all. Also got to shout out the timing of Martin. When it came in August 27, 1992. So it literally just turned 30. And the timing of it with what was on TV. Me and School were just talking about it's a real good documentary. It's suggested to everybody. It's on Showtime called We Need to Talk About Cosby. Directed by Kamal Bell. And
excellent.
Yeah, it's excellent. But there was a moment in that, the reason I bring it up, there was a moment in that documentary where they were talking about how the Cosby Show was a show with Black people on it. A Different World was a Black show. And there is a difference between it. And Martin was, to me, that first Black show of the 90s. And that's it was the first Black iconic. I don't know how to say that because Fresh Prince came out in 1990. So I'm not saying it like that. But Martin just kind of took off a lot quicker than Fresh Prince. Yeah. Like it was like one of those instant things. And maybe that's something to do with who Martin was in 1992.
Well, also, too, it has a lot to do with who they were aiming for. You got to figure Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, bro. Will was 15. Like he was aiming for that crowd. Martin was 26. We knew who he was coming for, like who he was, his target audience was.
So I love that you just said that because it reminded me of something. Like I made a list of what was on the air, Black TV shows on the air in 1992. Okay. So Cosby had just ended in April of 1992. So it wasn't on the air anymore. So you had A Different World. It ended in 93. You had Fresh Prince, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, and Live in Color, Family Matters, and Rock. Okay. So those were on the air in 1992. Okay. And when you have Martin, the one big distinctive difference about it is it's not a family show, whereas, I'm Rock and, I'm the garbage man and I come home and talk about something with my family or hang with Mr. Cooper. I'm at school and I got this whole family element. It was literally about a dude and his girlfriend, her best friend and his best friend. Yep. And just all the silly shit that they can get into episode to episode. Because that's one thing that I like to make sure people, I was one of those people, I don't think I realized a sitcom like broke down the word, like situational comedy. And like literally a sitcom is the episode begins with them getting into something. There's a climax, and at the end they get out of it, and it's on to the next episode. That's why these episodes rarely interconnect unless it's like a part 1, part 2, part 3. Yes, and like that's why HBO calls theirs like 30-minute comedies because if you're watching Insecure, it ties in the whole season. This stuff don't tie in; it just is what it is. And like I said, it goes back to the growth of what you saw in the show, and it was something for that crowd, like you said. And there's even Fresh Prince had the whole family atmosphere. It was Martin was this is what we own. And it stands out for that alone. And I think it's just an iconic set, iconic theme song. It really really captured everything about the 90s, especially 1992. Because that was the early 90s was different than the mid to late 90s. Very different. It still had a lot of 80s in it. Season 1 of Martin is very different aesthetically from the rest of the seasons of Martin. So they captured that very well.
And shout out to, I just wanted to say something about that theme song thing. Shout out to Martin for being one of the rare shows to change their theme song and it still be fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shout out.
Which one do you prefer?
I think the second one.
Nah, we'll have that conversation. We'll have that conversation later. We'll have that conversation later. I do want to shout out some other Black shows that came out after it.
Yeah.
They deserve recognition for what they were. Like shows like Living Single are incredible.
The original Friends.
Yeah, the original Friends, straight up.
Friends.
Yeah, yes, we will. We'll talk about it one day.
Mm-hmm.
But Living Single, Wayans Brother, Jamie Foxx show, like I love those shows, but I don't hold it in the same regard as Martin, just because Martin was the first. I think it was the first one that's kind of set a lot of those boundaries. Like he was pushing the line for 92 with even some of the language. It wasn't like crazy for now, but in 92 that was a big deal. Like him saying like a bitch was given in season 1 of Martin.
Yeah.
Like you didn't really see that too often in the 90s.
Not only, I don't know if you peeped it, this is the first time I watched in season 1 real quick when her episode, The Parents Are Coming, when she was packing all his stuff up, she was packing condoms. It was condoms hanging out of that box. And I was like, damn, that's the first time I ever noticed that.
I still ain't. I ain't peeped that. That's news to me.
Yeah, got condoms.
That's news to me.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching, this is random, but I remember watching The People versus OJ on FX.
Yeah.
Like when that was on, do you remember there was a scene when they had the episode with the jury and they was literally arguing about what to watch, Seinfeld or Martin?
Yes.
All the Black jurors wanted to watch Martin. All the white jurors wanted to watch Seinfeld.
Yep.
And that's what Martin was the big thing.
Yep.
And it's really interesting when they were having, I think, Tisha Campbell was having an interview when she was saying that they didn't know that at the time. Like when the show was on the air, they didn't know how much of an impact it was. And she went to, she went to the Museum of African American History, and she saw the picture of their cast in there, and she just like, this what? Like this is nuts.
That's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's nuts that it even came to that. So I can't give it enough flowers. It's the biggest thing ever.
Right.
We'll definitely just give it its flowers every single week and make sure that it gets its proper due. And I think there's no better way to really talk about it the way that we're about to.
Yes.
So let's just be a little bit more clear on what we're about to do. Each week, we're going to have a different season. Start with season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5. We're going to end with the finale. The goal is for us to point out what the best episode of each season is. At the end of that, we'll put them to the finale and we'll have one big conversation about it at the end. Like I said, we're going to sit down and just discuss, because everybody has a favorite. Everybody has something. So we're going to do the hard work, the impossible job of saying which one is the actual best episode. So once again, we appreciate y'all joining us for this. Let's get right into it. Well, it's the Culture Garden, so we got a few categories before we just get y'all, everything. But yeah, we'll break down our top 5s too. I mentioned that. We'll give our honorable mentions, break down top 5, and each one of us is going to crown one. What do you take into consideration when you make your list? I didn't, like, for all full disclosure, me and School don't talk about this before. Like, I had no idea what his list looks like. So I don't know his order. I don't know what he thinks. So it's going to be a real conversation, real reaction for the first time. So what do you like? Because we didn't have any guidelines for that. Your preference is your preference.
Yeah.
But what do you take into consideration?
I think it's easy. It's in the name, Martin.
Okay.
That's my main focus. And we had this conversation before. Martin is, as far as physical comedy, he's my GOAT. There's no one greater.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I look for that. I look to see what he was on, which Martin came to play, because there's 3-4 different Martins, and I mean just Martin Payne. I ain't talking about the characters he played. So that's what I look for. What about you?
Obviously, Martin, the laughs, like some episodes are just back to back to back to back, you know, because the one thing about it is it's 22 minutes. It's only 22 minutes to really get everything you need across, and that's difficult. So you really got to keep it light and keep everything. You got to make every joke land and every joke matter. So there's a lot of those episodes, man. Going through season 1, it was like, damn, like I kind of forgot how good, like especially the back half of season 1 was, because it started off a little bit for what we know is Martin. If you go back and watch those early episodes, it starts off a little bit, but it picks up, and season 1 has a lot of it, and I was surprised at how difficult it was for me to narrow it down to a top 5. I'm gonna be all the way real. I still don't have I have a solid number 1, I think, but all the other pieces I think can go in order. And you could talk me out my number one if I'm being real. Well, like depending on what you say.
I would say season 1 around episode 5, episode 6 is where it really picks up. You're like, all right, okay.
My bad. I just realized I didn't even answer your question fully. But anyway, Martin, what I take into consideration for best episode, Martin, obviously, the episode flowing together.
Yeah.
The side characters, like, and what I mean by side is the characters that Martin either plays or like guest characters on it. What it means to the culture. Like, there's certain episodes where you just kind of got to like put them into consideration for what they mean. They have their own special meaning in the Martin, universe. Mm-hmm. There are a couple from this season that it hurt me to like leave off the list. Yeah. They in the honorable mentions category, and I would have never thought that going into it. Yeah. But that's how many good episodes Martin has.
Yes.
And I take all of that into consideration. Well, I guess before we get into our top 5, let me ask you this. Do you have a favorite holiday episode from the season? There was only 2 in season 1.
Yeah. My Santa Claus. The
I saw Gina kissing Santa Claus?
Yes, I saw Gina kissing Santa Claus.
That was a real good holiday episode.
Yeah, that's the one for me. Mm-hmm. But I like the Halloween one. It was very good, especially for that toxic masculinity, that don't nothing scare me type shit. I love that.
Hey, you were bringing up a good point earlier about how Martin, especially in season 1, had a lot of conversations that were needed in 1992.
Yeah, absolutely, like, there was a lot of slick little messages and tones in it. The Great Pain robbery, when they got the
why it's all got to be the brothers.
Yeah, Officer Warren all hemmed up, and
even the police brutality in 1992 shenanigans, talking about it on the camera, like how that's still prevalent 30 years later.
Yes, super prevalent. And damn, I lost my train of thought.
It's all good, man. Get into honorable mentions. You want to start with yours? You want to start with mine?
Go ahead. You start with yours.
All right, man.
Oh man, I'm curious.
Beauty and the Beast. Just got to mention it. Is that on your list?
No.
All right, I just got to mention it. It's the pilot episode. It's a strong pilot. It's iconic for that Michigan jersey. It's iconic for the Gina Martin scene in the bedroom. Gina.
Yeah.
But it's not. I gotta give it a shout out just because it started everything, but it's not in my top 5. 3 Men and a Mouse. I enjoyed that. I've Got a Secret. That was the first kick out episode. The first time where Martin kicked anybody out.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
I love the way he delivers that. Like, that Karen. Oh no, don't you guys don't leave until I put you out.
Yeah. That was the first one. That's what started it all. It was like the first little sense of the Martin Pam beef. It was the first Myra appearance, which Myra Stan's girlfriend.
You're talking about I've Got a Secret, right?
Yeah, I've Got a Secret.
Now, it's also, not to cut you off, but it's also the first time, even though it starts the beef between Pam and Martin, it's also the first time he gives her a compliment, like that dress, when he talks about, I know that dress. He gave me a raise too. Like,
yeah, I remember that episode. I remember that. Yeah, I remember that in there. The Breakup Part 1, put that in there. Credit Card Blues, is that in your top 5?
Come on, you know that's in my top 5.
Nah, man. It ain't make it. It ain't make it. What? It ain't make it.
How did it in your top 5?
The holiday episode you mentioned, I saw Gina kissing Santa Claus, and Radio Days. Radio Days was one of them I cut out the last minute. Credit Card Blues was when I cut out the very, very, very last minute, but it did not make my top 5.
Here's my honorable mention.
All right.
The parents are coming.
Okay.
Baby, it's cold in here. The night he came home, I saw Gina kissing Santa Claus. Your arms are too short to box.
Whoa! Whoa, bruh. That's an honorable mention. Come on, man.
Checks, lies, videotapes, and the variety show. I took out the variety show at the last minute. I will say that. Yeah. That's my honorable mention. It's getting crazy in here already, man.
That's wild, man.
Yeah. It's wild to me that Credit Card Blues is in your honorable mention, bro. Like, what? That's insane.
Nah, man.
Martin was fooling.
all right. I got two that I couldn't place. Like they didn't place. I had them in my number 5 spot, and they eventually ended up getting kicked out. I hate to do it, so I'll go ahead and leave with my 5, but I'll start with these two. Dead Men Don't Flush. It was the first iconic episode of Martin. It was episode 5. Mm-hmm. It was the first time we got to see what this show was famous for, which is all 5 of them getting together in a silly ass situation and just making it funny. Mm-hmm. That scene was a glimpse of what Martin was going to be. So it's always going to be worth talking about. DP is something in the Martin culture where I automatically know what DP means. Mm-hmm. Like, there's people that go dressed to Halloween as DP. Yeah. Like, it is what it is. Yeah. Show Tommy, Thomas Michael Ford, it was really the spiritual one in the cast. And the first time you got to see him do that preacher scene, like, you felt that. Like, you felt them, that they was real friends and they was really trying to do the right thing. And sadly, Mike Haggerty, the actor who played DP, he passed away in April. And he was also popular for his role in Friends, which is a show I've never seen. But whatever, that's another conversation for another day. The other episode that I didn't make my top 5 that I was really debating about, man, I hope you don't kill me for this. Great Pain Robbery.
Come on, man.
First Roscoe appearance, I think.
Come on, man. Come on, man. You tripping.
Great Pain Robbery, man. So that's it. So number 5, Variety Show. Variety Show is my number 5. The reason it got the number 5 spot is because it was my favorite Martin performance of the season. Martin was fooling in Variety Show. Like, he took that power to his head. You can tell it was improvised. The famous, "Damn it, Tommy. Yeah. I said no tomato," and slapped him just by everybody, the look on their face. Yeah. And shout out to the cast for staying the character, because I would have lost it. Because Martin really could just take a moment and make it that much more funny. Like, the way he was dismissing everybody.
Oh yeah, he was clowning.
He was fooling. He was fooling. And his friends showing up. Obviously, it was a good cause. So it had a lot of meaning in 1992 at that time. I had to take my number 5 spot. School, what you got?
I got discuss with you. That's what I got.
Okay.
So I put 6. I don't even have a top 5. I couldn't do 5. I did 6. So you Niggas put Variety Show. You did Variety Show, but I took Variety Show out last minute. And number 6, I put Do the Fight Thing. That's my number 6, man.
Okay.
That was perfect. Like, the dynamic between Martin and Gina, the first time you see them, that they playing around, and then all of a sudden it switches. And then for the first time, I feel like Cole gives some good advice, and he uses it. And it worked, and that's very rare.
That might be the best advice Cole gave in the history of Martin.
Yeah, that might be the next miniseries. But all seriousness, Martin did his thing in that episode, and so did Gina. But yeah,
okay.
Side note for that Variety Show, that Push It. That was Tisha Campbell.
Yeah, that's Tisha Campbell's real single. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. That she really recorded that and released that. Yeah. Had a video for it. So
shout out to her.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 4 for me, episode 23. Jerome's in the House. April 1st, 1993, directed by Gary Keith. Most of these episodes that are on my list are written by John Bowman, Martin, and Topper Carew. Topper Carew, excuse me. So this is my number 4 episode. Jerome is probably my favorite Martin character, like the one that he plays. And we had a full Jerome episode. Like, I don't know. I'm sure we'll have to talk between this and him at the gambling spot as far as which one is probably my favorite. But there were so many. There's an iconic gif in this episode when he first enters into the grocery store. When we first see him for the first time in this episode, like that, the way he enters, and I know we had seen Martin previously in the season, but he just kind of set the tone as, all right, this is going to be a character that's going to be around.
Yes,
you're captivated every time he comes on screen. Absolutely. And he's funny. Yes, he's real funny, and
he's definitely going to rhyme.
Yeah, he's definitely going to rhyme. That's without question. Like, he has some iconic lines in the episode, like when he's giving his order and like, yeah, let me get a box of condoms, extra large condoms, the ones you dream about. Yeah, like that's some shit that I would expect for Jerome to say. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that they wrote him the right way. And one interesting thing about Martin characters is he didn't really have a say in them. Like he obviously brought them to life, but it wasn't really his idea to like make all of these characters. Like they were written in the script, and it was kind of like, all right, well, he didn't really question it. He was like, it was. They described it as a sitcom / sketch show, and it really was, because a lot of these, when Martin does his physical comedy, which you said, I agree, he's the GOAT. Like you can see many times where the cast is breaking character because he's just going with it, and that's just comedic genius. Yeah. So shout out to him for that. What's the line Martin said? What is it, Pam? The fifth brother that dogged you this year? I hate to think it's you. Like that's when you really start seeing that Martin Pam beef heat up, and what we get into season 2 and forward. So I really love that. I really didn't like how Pam was dogging Cole. Like she was like dismissing him. Like Jerome was that much better.
They
You know what I'm saying?
She was doing him dirty. Yeah.
I ain't like that at all. And the scene in the store with Jerome and Cole is all time. That's an all time Martin scene. That's a classic one. Like, oh, okay, you Cole, you the virgin. I ain't no virgin. Who told you that, man? Look at you. You all wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac. Man, you better go home before your thick ass get tossed up. Hey, man. Hey, that's an all-time scene.
Hey,
that's an all-time scene. It had to be in my top 5. What you got for number 4?
Number 5 for me.
Oh, excuse me. Why don't you do 2 then? Okay. Do 2 in a row.
All right, I'll do 2 in a row. All right. Number 5 for me is Blackboard Jungle Fever, episode 17.
Okay.
Has Beverly, the oh so gorgeous Beverly Johnson as Miss Trinidad. This episode, I want to say, shows you Martin's acting ability, his charm, how charming he can be, because you knew why Miss Trinidad liked Martin. He was very charming. I mean, he was funny. Hey, listen, I don't want him, but he did his thing. You know what I mean? Like,
what's funny is that for Martin, like for the bravado that he carries as a character, like he has a gentleman's side, and I don't know if that was written because this wasn't the first time we had heard Miss Trinidad. He had used it in an opening. In Martin, I forget which episode it was, but we had heard Miss Trinidad's name before. I don't know if that was like the childhood kid. He automatically goes back to those thoughts. But you definitely saw the other side, like you said, the charming, cool side. Like that was like, oh, this is how Martin bagged Gina. Like because he wasn't bagging her like the way he talks to her and talked to everybody now. He did it by the representative. That was Representative Martin.
And why this is on the list isn't even because of Martin. It's because of Gina. Gina showed that she is his ride or die. She's down. Now, in the very moment, in the heat of the moment, she did mess up. She didn't, like everyone else, you in the heat of the moment, you mad, you upset, you don't catch things. But she sat back and thought about it, and she said, you want this? No, bitch, I want you. You feel me?
Classic Martin line. Classic Martin moment. Like, you can't show a highlight reel of Martin without having that in there. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you. Beverly Johnson, you mentioned, she's the first Black woman to appear on the cover of American Vogue in August of 1974.
Gorgeous.
Still cold. Straight up. She's in her 60s. Still cold.
Daughter nice, too.
I enjoyed that episode as well, but go ahead and to your number 4.
Number 4?
Yeah.
Woman with a Past.
Okay.
Keith Washington.
You bugging, bruh.
Episode 8.
You bugging.
I'm bugging?
You wow, bruh.
Yeah.
Number 4?
That's number 4.
You bugging.
That's number 4.
Can I tell you at one point this was my number 1? At one point this was my number 1.
I can see that. It's great. Great performance. Great. Listen, I believe that Martin convinced himself that he was losing his woman that night. And
yeah, he definitely did.
The best part is Keith Washington did his thing. You could tell he couldn't act though. Like you can tell, but for that, listen, when that man when he stirred up them feelings in Keith Washington, and that man said she had lips, hips, all of that,
all of that pow.
Bro, he meant that, bro.
Hey,
he meant that.
Hey, you know what else in that episode I really love?
What?
Like, why don't you go get something to drink? Great idea. I could use a little something.
What? What? He was
because I could use a little something.
What?
Yeah. Hey, and he hit it with the yeah, me and Jenny used to sing together. We used to do a lot of great things together. Yeah. Hey, man, I don't know what Keith Washington.
You had to whoop Keith, bro, because that's where you realize, like, come on, bro, you on some trash. Like when he said that line, like, come on.
And you know what's funny about that? That's not even the most disrespectful shit that Martin been through when it comes to Gina.
Nah,
and we'll get to it later.
Yeah,
but that's not even as funny as that was, bro. There was somebody who really deserved hands, but he couldn't do it. We'll talk about it. Yeah. That's nuts for you. I'll talk about that episode a little bit more when I go up my list. So you just did your 4, right? So it's on me for 3.
Yes. Yeah.
Blackboard Jungle Fever. That's my number 3. I got it up a little bit higher. It was lower in my rankings, and then I thought about it and I rewatched it again. And I really love that episode, even though I know everything that's coming. Yeah. It aired on January 21st, 1993, 6 days before my 6th birthday.
Yeah.
So like I said, we were super young when Martin came out. But love it none the same. I love the fact that Martin was telling the truth.
Yes.
Like he wasn't like some dude that was caught up in some. He was really telling the truth, and everything, even it looked terrible, but it really had a legit explanation behind it.
Yeah.
And that was like Martin. I mean, Gina didn't believe that was Miss Trinidad.
Nah.
Like, you feel me?
Would you? Shit, Miss Trinidad was looking nice.
Trinidad was looking super nice, man. He said, yeah, like she go down a plane crash, I'm gonna holler at you. I love the reality of, I think every man has been in a situation like that and really thought to themselves, like, damn, for all that, I could have got some.
Should have just got
some. Like, you know what I mean? Just the thought. I love the fact that they wrote that in there because it's real.
That's real.
The fact that his physical comedy, I ain't cheating on her. What I get to throwing at me all day, and what I do, I block it. Like, that was just genius. And you talked about the Gina moment, and I got a real important question, and I know the answer. Never mind, man. We ain't gonna get into it. Man. I ain't even gonna go there. I thought about it. I ain't gonna go there. What's your number 3, man?
Dead Man Can't Flush.
Okay, I can listen. I respect it. It hurt my heart not to put this in here.
And it's for basically every reason you named. It's iconic. It's the very first iconic episode, and like I said, it's right where Martin takes off. Mm-hmm. Like if it's 92 and I'm 26 and I'm watching the show, I'm still in definitely. Mm-hmm. But this is the episode where at the water cooler the next day, I'm talking about it. Like, bro, you watched that show Martin last night? Yeah, they was fooling, bro. And let me say this too, which is very rare in a show. Ain't nothing like when they all come together. All 5. Even if they would have added Stan in the mix, it still would have been dope. Like that cast was just top tier. On the Culture Garden, we talk about like different movies, and I mentioned that's one of my favorite things when they find a way to make a group of friends be in one shot together. I think we specifically discussed it on The Best Man, like those scenes where they're together and we have those moments, like those are dope. And that was, I love it. I already talked about it when I mentioned it, but I love it about that show or that episode. Excuse me. Top 2. What you got?
We discussed it a little bit, man. A woman with a past.
Okay.
Woman with a past.
I'll
admit that is Jealous Martin is my favorite type of episodes of Martin.
Okay.
Like those give me the best moments, from this to Tommy Hearns to him driving to Chicago in the middle of Jealous Martin. Like they always look at your reaction. Like they give you classic moments.
Yes.
And he really went above and beyond. Like, and one thing I really I love this about this show. We didn't talk about it earlier. I love how cool they made it look to be in a monogamous relationship.
Yeah.
Like, not made it look, I don't want to say it like that, but made it be like they really portrayed that image. Martin was not a player. He was not out here. Even in the episodes, which neither one of us mentioned, of the breakups. Yeah. Like, he didn't, like, they made it clear to let us know, like, we didn't sleep together.
Yeah.
Like, Martin loves Gina. Like, and that was dope. And I love that. And I think that's a real big part, too, of why everybody resonates with the show, because it really is a love story.
Yeah.
But it's a real, like, you're untraditional. Like, this is us in real life, and I'm gonna be who I am, and you're gonna accept me, and vice versa. And we see them throughout this series go through that. Like, maybe he's not for me. Like, maybe we too different. They talk about this season.
Yes.
But this episode did a real good job of that. He really loves that woman. Keith Washington, as you mentioned, like her reaction, like that. Keith Washington, like, and like him mocking her, like, let your girl do that, right? Like, man,
listen, it's crazy. A brother sings a couple notes and every woman acts like she knows him, and she's like, no, I really
she hit you with that.
Come on,
and like that's classic like comedy. When first of all, Gina didn't have to throw out there that she dated him, like, because they've been dating him for a while. Like, you know how Martin is. He about to go linger all over that. And I love when she leaves. Like, damn, Keith Washington, that's some serious competition. Nah, man, you heard her. Like, they only.
Hey, sometimes them two niggas shouldn't have been there, man. We could have saved a lot of trouble.
Hold on, man.
Hey,
good Mario was really trying to tell me something.
They weren't going, bro. They wasn't going.
Like, bro, he was really trying to convince himself like that. Ain't that happened, bro? Because they knew, bro. You know that's just
Keith Washington, bro. Come on, man. And then the best part, the best part about the episode is when he finds, because they don't ever really tell you, but you assume. But when he says, "How long? Give me a ballpark. Come on," and he says 2 months. 2 months. We gotta wrap this shit up.
They tell you. Remember, because he saw your birthmark. Is my password. She didn't deny that.
Yes, she did. Because he did ask who was better. Yep,
yeah, right. He asked who was better. Like, another thing that I like that they wrote into, because I'm sure dudes hit who was better. Like, with the, straight up, and he was super hype. Like Gina was gonna say, Gina knew what to say, man.
Hey, fellas, don't be asking.
Yeah, don't be asking that, man. Get your feelings. Don't go through phones. Don't do none of that.
Don't do that.
It's a recipe for disaster. Yeah. But shout out Keith Washington. He was also in Poetic Justice as Dexter, and that was a fire ass duet.
Yeah, it was.
That was a fire ass duet.
That's one thing they did too. They made sure that they let them ladies sing.
Mm-hmm. And sing they did.
Yes, they did.
Sing they did, man. And I like it goes back to what you said about the conversation they were having. This episode was really a conversation of, can men and women be friends? Mm-hmm. Like I said, 3 years earlier, you have When Harry Met Sally, a rom-com that kind of changed that idea of things, and it really followed up on that, and it's a real conversation we still having today.
Yep.
So it was just iconic in every way. Like, this was my number one for a while.
Yeah,
it was my number one for a while.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
What's your number two?
My number two, brother. Credit Card Blues. Credit Card Blues.
I felt weird not having it. I felt weird having it as honorable mention.
I ask why it's not? Is it because did you wear yourself out on this episode? Is it because
when I look at the rest of my list, in my opinion, this is my list. Okay. This is the Culture Garden list. Like, you know what I mean? I just want to be clear for everybody, because this is going to start some conversation. And I know not everybody's going to agree with what either one of us has to say. Yeah. So maybe you will. Who knows? But for me, the ending of it just wasn't all the way complete. Maybe I did wear myself low of it, but the jail parts, except for, I will say, when what's his name, Ricky? Yeah, Ricky. Yeah. When Ricky did when he kind of back to Martin, and you could tell Martin wasn't ready for it. He broke character a little bit. Yeah. That part's funny, but other than that, like, it just kind of lost its way with me a little bit. But the first half of this episode is incredible. Like, it's hilarious. But it just it never fit my top five. I couldn't see myself putting that above some of these other episodes.
Huh. Well, I disagree. I think that you've worn yourself out on this episode, sir.
Okay.
This is a classic episode.
Definitely. I can't deny that.
Everything about it, just the too good to be true. The fact that Cole ran into Ricky Thompson, that was his name, Ricky Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought him in. They talked about him. He introduced him. He shows off he's the man. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. Like, my mind is really blown right now. Like,
because this man it's an honorable mention. It's not even in my top five. That's why.
It's just an honorable mention.
Mm-hmm. I might catch hell for it, but it is what it is. Like, it just doesn't. I enjoy it. Like, it's classic.
When they go to jail and the Muslim, he turns Muslim.
Yeah,
like,
it's funny. It's funny. Like, it's funny.
Oh man, I'm just lost right now.
And I will say, like, one thing that I really, really love about that episode is the shenanigans scene. It's like, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. The first half is cool. Like, I don't know, just doesn't. I tried a couple times, like, because let me tell you this. When I made my list and I had my first rough draft, it was like 7-8 episodes.
Okay.
And Credit Card Blues is like lingering. Mm-hmm. I'm like, let me watch this again because this should definitely be in my top 5. And it just didn't make it. I tried. Like, I really wanted to, but I felt like if I did it, it'd just be for nostalgia.
The interaction with the rude ass jewelry.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Maybe you are absolutely right. Maybe I wore myself out on it, but it's not in my top 5. I'm sorry. Maybe I was gonna see if you're gonna convince me if I should have it, but I'm not convinced. I'm not moving. Maybe y'all can out there watching and listening. So we'll see what happens with that.
That's crazy. But go ahead, brother. What's your number 1?
We come to the finale.
I'm scared.
Number 1. You've already said my number 1. Have I said your number 1?
Yeah, you.
Okay.
My number 1 is an honorable mention again.
Okay then. Oh, that's crazy. My number 1.
But this one I'm defending to.
My number 1. Your arms are too short to box with Martin. Is my favorite episode. It's the best episode. It's the best episode.
Stay away from that
because let me say this. And I know that it can be controversial because of the concept of the episode. I will say that they were, like, surprisingly politically correct in 1992. Like, this is a little person bar. Mm-hmm. Some of the words that were used that aren't acceptable anymore weren't even used in that episode. So I know that part of it, but at the same time, man, from start to finish, and shout out to Bushwick Bill. Like, shout out to Bushwick
He's
Bill.
A fucking menace.
Bruh. His portrayal in this, let me tell you why I love this episode. Bushwick Bill and Tony Cox. Like, every time they were on screen, especially the opening, like when the knock on the door, and we know Martin at this point. This is episode 24?
Yep, 24.
We know Martin at this point. We know what he tolerates and what he does not. Yep. And them knocking on the door, you're not expecting them to be short, walking through and really coming straight up. They was about that action. Like, they showed us every single scene they were in. They were about that life. Yeah. They weren't playing no games. So that whole thing, Martin being confused, looking outside, looking back, excuse me. Like, the audacity, because if you in that situation, you feel him. Like, who was y'all? Like, I don't even know y'all. And he's like, I need to talk about Shannon. Something wrong, Tommy. Something wrong. Tommy was a simp, man. Tommy was a simp. I love Tommy, man, but Tommy was a simp.
Yeah.
Something wrong. And went outside and really get the concept that Tommy's the tallest cast member, 6'4".
Yeah.
And I think they obviously did that on purpose. But for him to get beat up, like, and just be out. Then you hear that thud and just be out. It flipped everything on his head. It had a real conversation about bigotry. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why I really appreciate this episode as well. Like, your idea of a group of people can be completely wrong. Like, you've hung on to these, whatever stereotypes and things like that. So there was a message behind that. So it actually hit behind some things, and that's why I love it. But like I said, they didn't waste any scenes. Dragonfly Jones, this is his debut. That was that scene itself. Like, if you look in the background, especially towards the end, like, there's a moment where Martin or Dragonfly Jones get flipped, and Cole visibly, not even Cole, Carl Anthony Payne lets out a hot and covers his mouth real quick because he broke character. Yeah, like, nobody was expecting it. You can see Tommy bending down to get out of camera from smiling. Like, it was iconic. Like, in that Kenji, like, learning from your masters, your pay punk. You shouldn't be on the phone anyway. You should be practicing your art. Now get over there, boy. Like, that was classic, like, disrespect. Like, that's what you watch Martin for. Yeah. And we got that in season 1. I can't not have that. Like, I went back and forth. Like, is this really my favorite episode? Because I was looking it up, like, and nobody really mentions it. But I really think that's the best episode of season 1. It taught a lesson, really made us really evaluate things. Didn't end in violence, had everybody come together. Was funny. Everything, the whole nine. That's my number 1. That's my number 1. I'm standing by it. Like, that's not, I'm sure there's going to be moments where I don't have a clear cut one, and maybe the conversation we have is gonna set my like decision.
Yeah.
But for me, like I tried, like I went multiple times, and it was between this and A Woman with the Past for me. And I ended on this one because every single time I watch it, I get weak. The whole concept, like everything about it, is hilarious to me. Like nobody wasted any scene.
I listen. That's great, and if you want to take this episode and mine, we can. I'm with that.
That's what we're doing. Like
cool.
Both of our number ones go to the finale.
Okay, so cool. With that being said, my number one, The Great Pain Robbery.
I understand it being high on the list.
I think you've worn yourself out on some of these episodes,
bro.
Because listen,
I think that I'm not mad at it.
And this episode has a message in it too.
It does, but it's not as funny as Your Arms Are Too Short to Box with Martin. It's not as funny.
Listen,
it's a good episode. It's a great episode. It's a classic episode.
We love Martin for physical comedy. This was his best physical comedy episode. Breaking the glass. Cole, why you ain't on your spot?
That scene alone was what made it hard for me to keep it on my top 5.
Yes,
that scene almost got that scene alone almost made this episode number 5.
Just the whole scene, just the when he's hyping up everyone. Don't you feel good? Grab you like clowning Officer Warren the whole time, like the.
Hey, they say you gonna chill with all that stroll stuff. Hey, why don't you stroll all day? He was clowning them, bro, because he was fooling. Oh, you was just talking. I told you it was gonna happen. Now look at you. Now you calling me for help.
Yes.
Yeah, that was funny, man.
That
big came up and beat up that dummy and said, "Oi, hey, I got lessons at the Y. Why ask why
at the Y? Yeah, he was fooling, bro. That whole episode.
All right, let me say this. I'm willing to put this in the top 5. It's not you're not gonna talk me into number 1, but I'll put it in the top 5. Go ahead, keep going. My fault. Okay, I just want to let you know we've done enough. I obviously just laughed hard enough to justify being number 1.
And shout out to Charles Richard Mall, who played Officer Warren, who came from Night Court, and he's been in a bunch of stuff.
Bull, shout out to Bull.
Yeah, it was Bull in Night Court. He came to play, man. He came to play, and so did LaWanda Page. They all came to play. They was giving Martin a run for his money. She led the way. What was her name? I'm sorry. I know it's LaWanda Page. What was her name in the episode?
Miss Porter.
Miss Porter. What? Miss Porter was in there clowning.
Yeah.
Episode is legendary.
Yeah, man.
Don't you want to get out of my house? Yeah.
Hey, man. Officer Warren told that man his stuff was Elvis.
Hey. He said, that's nothing. I told the lady up the street she should move.
Oh, man. Your girlfriend felt me up in the dark.
Hey.
All of that. That's classic. All right.
Then you got appearance from our dog. One of the reasons why we doing this podcast. Clifton Powell.
All right.
Man.
Okay, then. So here's what we'll do. You just convinced me to move Great Pain Robbery to number 3. I'm gonna knock out Variety Show and I'll bump down Blackboard Jungle Fever and Jerome's in the House to 4 and 5. That's a strong argument for it. Everything you just mentioned, like I had it laugh for it.
The message, they all underestimated Gina, and she's the one that wound up apprehending Officer Warren.
So here's what's fun about this, and I'm glad you really picked that for your number 1, because here's what's going to be fun about this series. There are going to be moments where, obviously, we're going to do that 5 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now. Yeah. So I'll have some time to sit down and think about it. Like at the end, I'm sure we're going to take every episode that's going to the finale and just watch them again and kind of just see what we're going to do. Maybe we'll do a final ranking. Yeah. I'll just rank whatever's left.
Okay.
And
maybe
I'll look at this of what.
So maybe that'll be like you said, we'll just rank them.
Yeah, whatever episodes are left, we'll just rank them. Like we'll rank all of them. We don't got your top 5. Just rank all of them. They made it to the last. Let's rank the top episodes of Martin. But I might look at this at the end and be like, you know what? Because at the end we gotta agree. Like that's the thing. Yes. We can't have no like this is my favorite. We gotta agree. Yes. Culture Garden gotta crown one.
Yes.
So that's what it's gonna come down to. And I'm not mad at that for number 1. I'll never argue that choice for number 1.
Yeah, because you know what it reminded me of. This episode, particularly, reminded me of season 2 and the CD player, like him just having that free range to do his thing.
To be Martin.
Yes, to be Martin.
Be Martin. All right. Well, we got the first. Yeah, man. That's You got me. All right, you got me on that one. We got season 1 knocked out. Just as a recap, the episode going to the finale for school is going to be the Great Pain Robbery.
Yeah.
What episode was that? 7?
That is episode.
I'm pretty sure that was season 1, episode 7.
11.
11.
Yes.
Excuse me. My apologies. Yes. For me, it's going to be Your Arms Are Too Short to Box with Martin. Episode 24. That is going to the finale of best episode of Martin ever. Real quick before we get out of here, we are going to do something that we call the Barnell Hill Award.
Yeah.
And we call this the Barnell Hill Award because I think that every Martin fan knows, like, if you ask who's the best like guest appearance is going to be, or the best guest character is going to be Barnell Hill.
Yeah.
So who is like that next in line? Who's that close second? So I looked at this season to see who that would have been, and it's got to be David Allen Greer.
Yeah.
It's got to be David Allen Greer.
Reverend Leon Lonnie Love.
Like it's no question. He's got more than likely he's gonna end up winning this whole thing. Like I don't know if there's a second character. I mean, we had Kid this season, we had Keith Washington as we mentioned,
Richard Pryor, Billy D. Williams, Bushwick Bill. Like they pulled
Bushwick,
out some.
I'm telling you, man, Bushwick close second. But David Allen Greer definitely got it for this season. Yeah, he shows up in another season as well. So who knows? Maybe he'll get the crown on that.
I think he showed up in every season.
Was he in every? That's why we doing this, man. Like I said, I've seen his episodes, but not knowing
he was heavy in the 5th season.
Yeah, I've seen his episodes, but like it's been a while since I watched them all in order.
Yeah.
Like I said, we got DVD that wraps up season 1. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll be back with y'all every Thursday.
Yes.
Next week, man. I'm being real with y'all out there. I don't know. We don't know yet. It might be a 2-parter. Like season 2 is the best sitcom season of all time, in my opinion.
I mean that.
And that's not even like close. Like it's not even close. Like if you guys are like us and it's been a while since you like sat down and looked at a season in totality, like it's got some heavy.
Do yourself a favor.
Season 2's got some heavy.
It's on BET Plus. It's on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. Watch season 2 of Martin.
Yeah.
Follow along with us, man. We want to hear back from you. We want you to reach out to us
without question.
Let us know what you thinking. You think we wrong on these picks? Let us know. I want to
have
know.
a conversation
because I promise you,
I know y'all gonna be on my case. I know y'all are.
I think he's worn out. Worn out.
No, bro.
I didn't know that was possible,
bro. Like you got to look at this stuff from a fresh perspective. Like I said, you talking me in a Great Pain Robbery number 3. I'm willing to accept that. But some of the other ones, Credit Card Blues, you're not talking to me in my top 5. I'm not worn out on it. It just doesn't hold up to the rest of those to me. Mm-hmm. That's just, I guess that's where I'm at with it. I think I'm a qualified Martin fan. I think everybody knows it. I'm just saying that because I know everybody else out there who loves Martin feels that way too. So it's going to be fun to have a conversation. It's going to be fun to talk about it.
He's so crazy.
Yeah, man. You see the Martin LeBron. We got the Martin LeBron custom made for the show.
We out here.
Yeah, I'm glad that we had a chance to talk about this and break it down. Like I said, season 2 will.
It's gonna be wild.
It might be a 2-part. I went into this whole. I have no idea what my favorite episode of Martin is. Mm-hmm. Like the best episode, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting for us to crown this at the end. But I definitely came into it knowing or thinking that it's coming from season 2. Like I've got a 98%.
Yeah.
Like. There's a 98% possibility that the best episode of Martin's in season 2. It's just that good of a season. So we definitely appreciate y'all. We still are going to be putting out some movies while we're doing this. We'll drop some movies on Monday.
Yep.
We will have the Martin series on Thursday. Like I said, this will not be the only series that we covered in this whole the realm of trying to crown the best episode. We're going to get into some classic television shows. Ray P is definitely going to join us. Shout out to Ray P.
Shout out to Ray Bizzle.
Like I said, Culture Garden's growing, man. We're expanding. We're talking about not bigger, excuse me. That's definitely not the wrong word. We're like more blockbuster Hollywood production movies as well. Just to show off our movie chops, but the culture is always where we at, as you can see. I mean, we're talking about Martin.
Come on.
It ain't more culture than that. So shout out to the Bengals. Season starts this weekend.
Yeah.
Shout out to Joe Shiesty. That's why I had to represent. But we'll definitely see y'all next week. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all be cool. That's where we got this from, y'all.
Yeah.
You listen to us every week. You know how we end the episode. We got that from Martin. Y'all be cool. Y'all be cool.
Peace.